Welcome back, everyone, to the EU LCS and our final game of the week, Misfits Gaming versus Splyce. Huge matchup, and we wanted to take the opportunity to take a look at that Misfits bottom lane, Hansama and Mickey X, because these guys have been doing unreal this split so far.
I mean, Shocks, I've been saying it since week one. This is the best bot lane we have here in Europe currently, whether it's Mickey X finding these ridiculous flanks on the Rakan in team fights, or Hansama flashing forward to always get that kill. They always put on a show, and they're always the ones getting the wins.
Well, big words there, and their best bot lane in Europe. Tell me then, how good are they at laning? How good are they at team fighting? Why are they the best?
I mean, if you look at this game from yesterday, Mickey X is actually scripting here on Morgana, landing every single binding in the laning phase, and Hansama, he's an expert at piloting these AD carries. You know, we looked at the start of the split and thought more people were going to shift towards those mage picks, and a lot of people have, but he is one of our players that has stuck to that tried and true for him, and it really shows in the laning phase because he is so proficient at knowing the absolute minimum and maximum he can do on these champions that he just devastates his opposition.
That's a great point. We take a look there at all the champions that Hansama has played. There's not a lot of AD carries left in the league who have played only AD carries. I believe Steelback is the only other one. But Hansama has shown that he hasn't needed to touch the mages, that the playstyle of Misfits has just been great standard as it has been. He has hinted at the fact that if it's necessary, he's looking into mages and he will play them. But I feel like he's one of the only guys that can keep pulling it off.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it's necessary for him right now. And a large reason why is because Misfits continue to draft around their bottom lane. They keep giving them lanes like Draven Morgana, lanes where you can search and find kills. And then you have a player like Maxler out of the jungle that's always backing them up and making sure that they can keep pressing forward, because this is a lane that never backs down. They're always pushing into the tower and looking for any of those advantages they can find.
What about the criticism that I've seen levied at Mickey X, that he's only really good when it comes to these super engaged champions like the Rakan, where he can make the big plays, but on other styles it isn't that great?
I mean, in the first place, to say if you're really good at engaged champions, this meta absolutely fits it, but he also is an expert on the Morgana, which is predominantly a lane-focused champion where you always want to get that push in, search for binding. So it really feels like, to me, he's very well-rounded at the moment and can stand the test of time to any meta.
Well, it's working out perfectly for the Misfits with their reconfigured roster this year. It's nice that they have a bottom lane that they can build on, and it is getting the active advantages for the team that kind of filled that void of the people no longer on that roster and working really well. So I feel that you don't see Splyce having that big of a chance in this matchup.
Hey, I mean, everyone remembers Ignar, the big playmaker that was playing stuff like Leona at Worlds. Mickey X comes in, now he's playing Gragas in the bottom lane, he's playing Pyke. So when Misfits were looking for a playmaker last split, well, now it's summer, Mickey X has showed up, and he is exactly that player.
Mickey X and Hansama, players to watch in the rise of Misfits. Let's see if they can keep it going against Splyce. And Splyce, they just came off a really tough loss against G2 Medic. Do you think they can bounce back?
See, the question in the auto queue said, how do you think they're going to bounce back? That's a lot easier to answer than do you
so
think?
the script has been broken, now you don't know what to answer.
I'm a robot, basically.
Exactly.
I'm an automaton, or I can just
Can you just
answer what I'm
scream
told to
like Splyce or something?
Kings!
Yeah, there you go,
There
great.
we go. How, do you think they can bounce back today, Deficio?
I think it's hard to say because against Misfits, but at the start of the day, we looked at the schedule and we said, okay, it looks like it's Fnatic winning, G2 winning, and then Misfits winning.
Yep.
But we were like, G2 and Splyce are the two kind of teams who can look bad day one and then look great on day two.
It's true.
And they have the players to match the top teams in Europe. So I'm definitely not calling this one instantly, but of course Misfits will be heavy favorites.
You still didn't say how they would win, though, if they're going to be able to take the win.
We have an entire game to talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's see the draft first, instead of just predicting, oh, Splyce will split push with Zed. You know, we don't even know that yet.
But they may. Now that we've seen it once, you don't know what's
Unlikely.
going to happen.
Unlikely.
They would ban the Talia themselves on the blue side. Nocturne removed
Not
by
a
Misfits.
Cersei champion as well. I think that is worth highlighting. He's a preferred Trundle, and the other big pick has been Rumble for Odo Amne. A lot of people always talk about Splyce. They have 1 or 2 champions per player that they really value highly. Zoe also being one we need to mention. Niski has first picked Zoe so many times. It is far and away his most played champion. And whenever you have him on PGL or in interviews, he just says, yeah, Zoe is the most broken mid laner. I will pick her when she is available. Let's see if that is the case here.
She is free for Splyce if they want it, as you say.
She did receive nerfs on this patch to a W specifically, so she has fallen down the priority list for some of the mid laners, and also a lot of teams have figured out ways to try and counter Zoe, so Splyce do not opt in to a Zoe pick here. Gragas is a more standard early pick just because of the flex options you have. We even saw Kasing play Gragas support. It was pretty bad, but he did play it.
We've seen Odo Omne play it once this split as well. Misfits now have
Wake up, Alfari.
a bunch of opportunities. A lot of different options for them here. They could go for, you know, Yasuo. Oh, they couldn't go for Yasuo because that's already banned out. They can go for the Morgana, though, because that hasn't been banned, alongside the Orianna for Sengox.
That's Mickey Morgana. It is something to be excited about. It's
pretty good.
He lands almost every single binding. Orianna has become one of the very standard blind picks you can go for in the mid lane. She has basically no bad matchup in the laning phase. She brings wave clear, and she does synergize very well with a lot of the engaged champions we get to see, with a lot of the tanks, because they can deliver that ball here. Is he? I mean, he's probably memeing Nuke Duck right now.
He's definitely memeing.
But still, Niski's Zoe is there if he wants to play it. Not that he's gonna punish the Orianna with it, but as we said, there are key champions for Splyce that are just always high priority for them. Trundle, Zoe, and then we highlighted Rumble as the other one, which is still available in this draft, but Gragas top looks like the likely one now.
Could, of course, flex the Gragas to support, as you
Can
said.
do that,
Kasing
yeah.
has played that, so always an option for Splyce. Misfits looking for their final pick of this first phase. I'd love to see a Draven. I don't think it's going to come out this early on from Misfits, but something aggressive in the jungle, like the Graves, could be an option.
It's been a while since we've seen him in Europe, but he's picked specifically because of the Trundle jungle from Cersei, and that's kind of what happens in a draft phase. If you feel like the team you're playing is very predictable, you have a bit of time during the week to figure out, okay, if we know he's going to pick Trundle, if it's available, we leave it open in the draft, and then we have something specific prepared. It is Graves, where the Trundle pillar is not effective. It's actually something that can hurt him against Graves as well, and Maxwell might get a pretty free game here to farm up on this jungle here. Will they ban something? It is going to be the Pike against Kasing specifically. We're also still missing Copy's pick. He's a Heimerdinger or traditional AD carry player.
Heimerdinger or Marksman. Ezreal is something he's relied on quite a lot this split. We'll give him a bit of safety against things like the Morgana, like the Orianna as well.
But doesn't really win you the game either.
No.
LCK Ezreal, you can be like, that guy's going to carry the game alone. European Ezreal, you're like, that guy doesn't want to die.
I mean, Kobe hasn't actually died ever on the Ezreal this split. He's played it 3 times, 16, 0, 14, 15, sorry, is his collective KDA.
Point stands then. Draven being banned away by Splyce, don't want to risk Osama taking that with the Morgana. If he still wants to just play an AD carry, there is plenty left right now for him. Kaiser's here, Varus as well, something we see a lot right now. But he did say he might want to play AP champs. And if that is the case, Heimerdinger, if he wants just pure push, is available and would also be a takeaway from Kobe. But, I mean, the Swain is also here. Most teams, when they see Swain open, they want to play Swain.
Would have locked it in by now, but hasn't yet been locked. We haven't seen Hans Summer play it at all this split.
Was also nerfed.
Yeah, it was also nerfed, just a little bit. So not too surprised with both of these bot laners being more marksman focused that it has been picked.
Varus, then.
Varus is going to get taken away, and now Misfits probably look up towards top and keep their AD carry last, or could lock their AD carry and keep their top for the last pick.
Still not a mage, Hansama, you lied to us. But this will be such a dirty lane to play. Morgana, Caitlyn, the traps and the bindings combination. You can't really gank the lane properly because of Black Shield. Caitlyn really is a fantastic early game pick still, but sadly it is the I do not want to die AD carry here in Europe, Ezreal.
It's the first time we've seen Hans Summer play Ezreal this split.
He played a lot last split.
He did.
And it was such an issue for Misfits because he would get to his 2 items, they would walk into a fight, and then they would lose them and get outscaled. But now you can still do the double T as well if it is a game that's going very far into the late game. So there is more late game punch in that case.
That is something we're seeing more in LCK as well.
Definitely.
Those sort of elongated games with the Zir, with the double tier Ezreal. So.
Yeah, the meta is kind of shifting towards longer games. Halo Blades Jhin, baby. Kobe's doing it again.
Oh, baby. We had Ender discussing this at length, both in the office and earlier today. Halo Blades Jhin, so powerful with that Keystone rune.
Yeah, I was doing Reddit check if people want to go back and find it.
Rewind.
Rewind, specifically talking about how Halo Blades, the attack speed you get from it works really well with the Jhin passive. Zillion for Kasing.
One of his signature picks. First time he's played at this split, though. So it's another new champion for Kasing.
It's a Zillion, and then it's Janna. That is really the signature champions. I believe he played it with Rivals once. He actually locked it in there. But yeah, first time in the EU LCS. Jarvan top lane. Orama does not like seeing this. Yesterday he played against Jarvan top. It was Wonder who did it, and he got camped. This game here, there's Zoe at least, a little bit more pressure in mid, and a Jhin bottom lane. So not as passive of a draft from Splyce.
But Misfits have a pretty strong early game towards that top side as well. Graves Jarvan is not something I want to look at if I'm the enemy top laner at all. I think there's going to be a lot of focus from Maxwell and Alfari towards that top side of the map.
I'm looking at a lot of team fighting overall though, for both teams. Like Splyce on their side, Double Tank, and Zilean is really picked mainly for the late game. His early game is not that fantastic. Some of the early poke is decent, but then once the enemy team actually start getting a little bit of HP, Zilean is not really poking them out of lane. Costs too much mana for himself to do it. Misfits on their side, you said it already, the Graves and the Jarvan top lane. That is insane. When you draft Ezreal, you can play to the other side of the map. Something Misfits can decide to do in this game here, because it is not a tank for Alfari.
Not at all. Still, when I look at this Splyce lineup, I see that they've got some very comfortable picks. You've got the Zoe, you've got the Trundle, you've got Kobe's most played champion, or second most played champion ever. It's comfort all around, and I still can't see them taking down Misfits, who have been so clean, so methodical throughout the entirety of this split.
It's always the thing with comfort is, if some of these picks are not the strongest in the meta, you're kind of hurting yourself a little bit. I'm mainly looking at the bot lane here. I think Jhin is a good pick now, but the Zilean is still very questionable from Kasing's side. It is a great late game insurance, and what's going to happen is in the mid game, when Kobe and Kasing can go to mid lane, he will speed up the Jhin. Jhin will have a Storm Razor, and he will just walk forward and crit the enemy AD carry in the face, and he gains control of it. We'll look more at that once we get to that part of the game, but that is one of the ideas around picking Zilean here with the Jhin.
Storm Razor was, of course, buffed on this patch as well. Gets you a little bit more crit damage earlier on in the game. That first shot can be devastating alongside the Hail of Blades, and we perhaps will see a very fast Jhin. You've got the speed up, the time warp,
getting it.
And then you've got the Hail of Blades, and you've got the fourth shot.
And that's the thing again about benefiting from attack speed. It's not about getting more auto attacks off for Jhin. It's the amount of movement speed he's going to get.
Becoming the fast division.
He flies around, and what it will do is it gives you a lot of priority in your lane once you have your items, because you decide when to trade. When you step forward and get the big hit, guaranteed crit from you, you can then decide to move back if you don't want to continue trading. The enemy AD carry fairly often does not get a proper trade back against you. So it is good for priority in a lane later. He needs the item first. Halo Blades in laning phase kind of feels bad. Like, it's... Yay, I get a little bit of attack speed, and that's it.
Always translates, though. I know we've talked a lot about the Splyce draft this game and how they pick comfort. Yesterday, the Splyce draft against G2 is something that you had particular concerns with. Actually going to hold that just for a second as Kobe and Kasing step forward here. We can now talk about the draft. Nothing's going to happen.
The big problem for them was they had no lanes they could probably play around except for maybe the mid lane with the Swain. They were against like pushing Heimerdinger in the bot lane. They were against Jarvan Talia top lane with the Mundo. So Odama was left in a situation where he couldn't defend himself. And when Cersei tried to help him, he eventually also just died because of it, because they couldn't win the 2v2. And it resulted in what we're seeing here. A complete stomp. 10 minutes to start falling behind, it just snowballs out of control, and they lose in like 23, 24 minutes. I'm glad there's a bit more punch on the side of Splyce without it still being early game focused. It is still very focused on getting out of laning phase, ideally locking down at least one item, Luden's Echo, Storm Razor, these kind of things. Going to be crucial for the Splyce composition.
I see Maxwell forcing his way into the Splyce jungle to steal away some wolves and force Xerxes out. He's going to go up and get the Scuttle Crab though, so not too much lost for the Splyce jungler at all. His bottom wave is pushing in. It's pretty safe for him to be here.
Maxwell not able to go in and contest a red buff. He's just securing everything he can on the top side. That's obviously one of the things here. The Graves was picked after the Trundle was locked in. Maxwell is saying, I will play more for myself here. Graves is a very selfish jungler. He's not exactly the guy you pick to perma-gank your lanes. Ooh, early bomb. This is what we mentioned with the first few levels where it is effective.
Sankas has a cleanse in the mid lane as well as Niski gets some damage down on that Zoe. Xerxes looking to steal away this blue. Mickey on his way. The smite comes out now. Maxlaw going to come down as well, but Xerxes can path down towards that bottom lane.
So what Kasing can do the first few levels, we're trying to double bomb everything, and then he runs out of mana. We'll later on have to save it a bit, but Kobe and Kasing doing well. So there's a lane with pressure from Splyce's side. And Maxlaw not been able to get an early advantage over Cersei. I believe even the blue buff got stolen away.
Xerxes gets a 3 buff here over Maxor, who's been one of the best junglers in the EU LCS this split. Xerxes, on the other hand, tends to have incredible games or not so good games. He kind of either all or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, his playstyle is just often not built around consistency anymore. He used to be, I just want to farm all the time and do nothing else.
Yep.
Then on Splyce, he was forced to change because his team was just losing the early game in Spring all the time. So he had to become the guy who ganked a lot in the early game. And while the style sometimes works, it's just not the kind of player he was meant to be, which is why he sometimes can take a bad skirmish or a risky gank, and then he falls behind and he doesn't really do anything. And that's also one of the things about Trundle, is if you're ahead, he's fantastic, like he's so strong. But when he falls behind, the comeback potential of a Trundle pick is fairly limited.
Interesting to see Kasing giving a lot of attention there to Xerxes. They know Mickey doesn't have a flash. There's a black shield as well. Xerxes coming in. Mickey going to get pillared up, and Kobe and Kasing can just chase in here. Great dodge to the side, but Mickey's still not in the best of spots. The flash in, burst, blood to Kobe.
There is a lane now for Splyce to play around in the early game. It is bot lane with the Jhin, with the Zillion, and the forced flash by Kasing earlier against Mickey. This is the bot lane we just heard the analysts talk about. Hansama and Mickey dominating so many other lanes in Europe. This one here, they just gave up first blood due to a good gank.
Great stuff from Splyce. You could see it was planned out from very early on. Kasing went, gave the extra experience over to Xerxes, helped him clear out those Krugs as well, and Mickey still doesn't have his flash. There's only half the cooldown down, so maybe we'll see a repeat performance down towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, definitely an option. Maxor is still trying to gain some sort of early game advantage. Xerxes has gotten all the camps he needed, actually picked up multiple buffs, and Rift got on bot side, plus he succeeded with the first gank, so it's looking like one of the good Xerxes games. And you need that if you're going to beat Misfits in the early game as Splyce.
About 700 gold ahead at the moment. You can see the fast is starting to come online down towards that bottom lane. Kobe has the boots of swiftness? Swifty! The Swifty boots down towards that bottom lane. Hansama has the tier for himself as well, so he's going to start scaling up on this Ezreal. Do wonder, though, if they fall any further behind, you can't really look towards that double tier. You need to be able to meet Splyce in the mid-game.
I can't wait for the mid-game just to talk about the plan for Splyce.
Kobe doesn't have flash. Hansama could have flashed for the chase, but decides against it.
He's picked up very early boots as well. Swiftness on his side. So much of Jhin is about just controlling when you step forward, get the guaranteed crit, and step out. Auto Q is something that will always do more damage than what the other AD carry can return, as long as you can step out of range right after. And that's again what Jhin wants to do in this game. Hail of Blades, as we highlighted before with the passive. Insane for just adding even more movement speed towards Jhin when he actually does manage to step forward.
Something helps with that damage as well as having a BF sword.
Definitely helps a lot.
Just a little bit of extra damage for him, and you can see Xerxes pathing down towards this bottom lane. Hit level 6, has the subjugate if they need it. Mickey and Hansama stepping forward, still no flash on Mickey, remember. But they're going to try and get some vision control in this river.
It's been one of the slower early games for Misfits due to, of course, falling behind bot side and Maxwell not finding the advantage he needed with the Graves over Trundle. And the last time we saw them actually lose the early game, it was against Fnatic, and it completely snowballed out of control. Felt like there was nothing Misfits could do after Fnatic got ahead. Splyce not the same snowball team,
no.
Definitely not. But they are the kind of team who loves to get past the early game, because that's not where they have their strength. It's not a strong laning phase team.
Something like an Ocean Jake definitely helps you do that, because you can just sustain up if you ever take any poke in those lanes. Just heal yourself up by staying out of combat for a little bit. That's the Ocean over to Splyce. They give up a little bit of pressure in their lanes to do it, but not too much at all. And we haven't really seen that top lane focus develop from Maxlor and Alfari. We expected perhaps Odoamne to get a little bit more camped like he did yesterday against G2.
It's a little bit easier also for him to escape with the Gragas compared to the Mundo, who's obviously stuck in place. But yeah, Misfits simply not able to find any advantage anywhere. Misfits top lane Alfari is just trading fairly even against Odoamne now. Odoamne is just, of course, stacking early armor as fast as possible because he knows it's pure physical damage coming against him from the Graves and the Jarvan. So we're kind of waiting for the next move, and I'm really looking towards the bottom side where we have this huge advantage in terms of items for Splyce. See if they can do something top first. They're definitely spotted.
Yeah, Xerxes walks over a ward, steps onto a control as well. We'll spot that out. I doubt we'll see any more action happening up towards that top side. Maxlaw is on the bottom side of the map. There's a red buff for him if he wants it, but instead he's going to go mid. Nisqy still has flash. And Maxlaw waiting in the bush just in case something happens.
So he knew Cersei went top side. Oh, he's actually going for it.
Shockwave used by Stankox onto Nisqy there. The dive is coming out top lane as well. Teleport straight away here by Misfits to try and react. Autoemne flashes away there. It looks like Alfaro got stopped in the middle of his EQ combo. Mickey's going to engage in the bottom lane as well, though. Kobe, true shot barrage to the base, and that's the damage you need if you're Misfits. They can chase onto Kasing as well, who still has the ultimate. Didn't use it on his fallen AD carry.
No, he just got level 6 during the fight when his AD carry died. I think a minion died right after. That was what he needed. Misfits got level 6 first. They said instantly, hey, we can go all in here. Flash for Kobe. And Kobe did not manage to get away in time, and then you actually pick up a kill. So bot lane's trading kills against each other. Misfits did not actually use the advantage of Xerxes going top lane to invade the jungle. The red buff was there, it was available for Maxlaw, but maybe he wasn't 100% sure exactly what he wanted to do with the Graves. This is the play from before. So it's actually a TP top side. They kind of bait Splyce a little bit. Kobe has flash here. No, actually he doesn't, sorry. There's still a few seconds on it. Just once we get out of this replay, flash is available almost right after the replay actually ends. Great timing on then the flash cooldown and Kasing not being level 6 from Misfits bot lane.
Yeah, really strong engage from Hansama and Mickey. That's why a lot of people are looking at them as the best bot lane here in Europe at the moment.
Did use double flash for it. So there's a chance now for Cersei to stop trying to go top lane for the Gragas, which is not necessary. Swap your attention bottom side. Help Zoe push out mid. Move her down. The Drake is spawning in a couple of minutes, and you can start hitting this bot lane turret as well. Control that side of the map. Let Autoemne just farm, stack armor as much as possible. And then I think you have a good lane to play around with the Jhin, who's right now sitting with way more damage than the Ezreal.
Yeah, so still only Sheen, the Cull, and the Tyr. It's not the most DPS-heavy output from Hansama at the moment, but he will continue to scale up, as will the rest of Misfits.
First step, make sure you can push out mid. Cersei's just trying to be a little bit annoying, staying around the lane. Now he can move down to that bottom side. No Drake yet. Maxlaw is trading then for the Rift Herald, but he just started it. Technically right now Splyce could move in and stop him. If they don't, they have to get something in the bottom lane.
So he's going to get spotted out on this ward. There is a control ward in that tri-bush as well, but Kasing and Kobe are just going to force back Misfits here. Alongside Xerxes, maybe they can trade that Rift Herald for the first tower. True Shot Barrage will clear out the wave, and the next wave is a long way away. So Rift Herald should be easily secured by Misfits.
If they don't get this turret here, then suddenly it's a bad trade for Splyce. They have plenty of time to move top lane and actually do something.
I think they will get the tower because Hansama has back, doesn't have teleport, so won't be able to get
Perfectly
back
fine.
into
It was the play we mentioned.
Yep.
Cersei went mid first, tried to guarantee the next push, and then you go bot with all your players top lane.
Odo needs to get away from Maxlaw, but he's caught in the Cataclysm, gets the cask away, but great kill from Misfits up towards that top side. They have the Rift Herald as well if they want to use it. Instead, just going to go for the tower.
Finally, we get a play around top lane though from Maxlaw. It's been a slow early game, which is not what we expect from Misfits, but it's what Splyce wants in these games. Stankox is actually the one, it looked like at least, was the one pausing.
Just like my AD carry is not playing Draven. He's not carrying me. What's going wrong?
Well, he's just sitting in mid lane right now.
Yeah.
On Orianna. Maybe he's bored. He's like,
Yeah.
This is boring, guys.
I'm used to getting more camped than this. Come on.
He's also been playing Yasuo and these kind of champions lately.
That's true. That's true.
Orianna's back in the meta. All the mid laners are so happy. Actually, they are. A lot of mid laners like to play her, even though it's just a control mage in the mid lane. But there's some big moves, you know, especially a big shockwave in the late game.
I think that's the thing. They just want the 3,000 elo shockwave, don't they? They want
Everyone
the
wants
Threlon
it.
Lord moment.
Because that's when you know the caster's yelling your name.
Yeah.
No matter what else happens around you, as long as you hit the shockwave, that's what people look at.
I actually, when I was learning to cast, I had a co-caster. He was a really nice guy, and he's still casting other games. But we were learning how to do like the color cast interjections in the middle of a cast. So I'd be like, oh, you know, Orianna there, it's going to hit the shockwave, etc. And no matter what the shockwave did, he would shout shockwave. So even if it totally missed, he'd be like, shockwave! And I'd be like, yeah, I got some minions. Good job.
It's true. A lot of color casters actually likes to do that because they feel like they have to shout something in a team fight, even though you don't actually have to because there's a play-by-play next to you already screaming and yelling. But then you have to call something, and everyone can see the shockwave. So it's what everyone will always call. Like there's a very famous moment from Worlds where good old Kasing. But during Worlds, if you remember the SKT comeback game against EDG, when Faker lands that big shockwave, and everything before that was actually like insane engaged from a Rakan, a Twitch popping up, hitting 5 people as well. But the moment that you looked at it first was the shockwave, even though everything around it was almost a bigger play than what actually ended up being the thing.
Yeah, but you make the moment with the shockwave, don't you? That's the big player. Let's have a quick look at where these two teams are standing at the moment in the EU LCS, because G2 aren't playing in this game. G2 just lost. Misfits sitting 10-1 at the top of the table. If they win this, they continue to put themselves through towards that playoff bye position. Splyce, though, 7th spot. 7th spot at the moment, outside of playoff contention.
3rd place, last split. Played in Copenhagen, beat Vitality 3-2. And now if they lose this game, suddenly you have 2 wins towards Schalke and Vitality, and you're more or less just fighting against Rocket all of a sudden, and you're a little bit scared because Unicorns are behind you, winning earlier today. So there's a lot for Splyce in this game here, and typically as a middle of the table team, which they are right now, you look at your schedule, you always say, okay, we just got to beat all the teams around us, we're fine. You don't count, you know, the games against Misfits and Fnatic, these kind of teams. But if you do get a win, suddenly it actually makes up a lot of ground.
You're in a position right now where you can get a win as well.
Oh, this game is going more than fine for them.
They're surviving through the laning phase, which is what they always want to do. They're only 100 gold behind. They're 100 gold ahead of Misfits at the moment. And speaking of the strength of their schedule, they've actually got relatively easy next 6 games. I don't want to say it's easy because you're still playing up against
you still said
LCS teams. Yes, relatively is what I said. They've got Unicorns of Love, H2K, Rocket, 1 game against Fnatic, and then 1 game against Schalke, and 1 game against Giants. So 3 of the bottom, all 3 of the bottom teams they've still got left to play.
Generally, you have to look at just how many times are they playing the top 3 teams still.
Fnatic.
That's only Fnatic. 5 other games not against them, and they still, as you said, have some of the bottom teams in Giants and H2K. So that is big for Splyce here. See if they can actually win this game. They lost the top lane turret, but they already secured the bottom lane one. It's the play we mentioned before. And now Storm Razor is completed for Cobby. It's a huge power spike for him. Expecting rapid fire cannon to come in next. And then you can just control the lane by stepping forward, guaranteeing this crit. Once you get to your 4th shot, you guarantee another one. There's a lot of different combos for Cobby here where, you know, you get the first auto for the crit, then you W. Again, it buys a bit of time where you're not actually auto-attacking, and you try and get the reset on the Storm Racer, hit another one with that, and then you get your 4th shot as well. So there's a way to get 3 crits out of your 4 shots with the Storm Racer built. See if we get there at some point. Cobby for now is just going to catch the bot lane wave. He wants to get to a point where he can sit in the lane against Hansama, crit him in the face once because he's sped up by Zillion. He procs the Halo Blades and everything. Hansama is forced to just jump away, and Cobby can then kill the minions first, and he will always have control.
That's what we're looking for, really. We're looking for the Kasing-Cobby duo down towards that bottom lane. I am interested that Hansama and Mickey didn't go. We saw the sort of start of a lane swap from Cobby and Kasing, and then Hansama and Mickey stayed bot because that tower's still up for them, so they wanted to keep the pressure up. But
also, you're lane swapping into nothing if you're Misfits, right? Because the turret and Riftel is already gone. Maxlow still sitting with it, ready.
Instead, he's going to go for, well, he is going to go for this blue buff. Odoamne will spot him out, and this is where we see Splyce play on the other side of the map. It's been a split map for a lot of this game. Splyce will get the Ocean Dragon. They sacrifice a blue buff of their own, but they don't really care too much about that.
As long as they don't, again, lose too much top. With the Rift held on Maxlow, they can still use it to secure the top lane turret as well on their side, but looks like they're just stepping towards mid lane. So once again, Splyce managed to get an objective without losing too much on their side. It's very close, a tense game so far.
And you get the sense that both these teams are starting up for a fight here. Mickey pushed back by the pillar. True Shot Barrage comes out as well onto Xerxes, but not going to be able to get too much more out of that. Mickey always on point with those dark bindings. Rift Herald used towards mid. That tower still pretty healthy, but Splyce aren't going to be able to act in time.
A little bit sloppy play here from Splyce on the map. The bot lane actually did not just commit to go straight to mid when they saw all the members from Misfits move there with the Rift Herald ready. That then results in a free turret for Misfits, and Splyce not able to get anything in return, because what happened, if you see the minimap, is now Copy and Kasing are on the way back to the mid, to the bot lane. So they were actually around for a potential fight. Then they walk bot lane. They realize, wait a minute, we can't push anything in time. Let's go back to mid. And by the time they're moving back to mid, the turret is already dead and Misfits have left the lane. So you just end up kind of moving around doing nothing. And that never feels good.
Handsama is going to go up towards the top lane now, though. Misfits trying to pull Splyce around the map a little bit. You've got the Trinity Force complete on Handsama. Finished it actually before he even went for that Mura mana, so deciding he wants the little bit of an extra spike in damage you get from the completed Trinity Force rather than the scaling you get from the Mura mana.
So also just looking at where we can get that potential fight. Maxlow is ideally playing around Nefari still, but this Gragas is just getting more and more armor on his side, and it's going to be hard to catch him in very long lanes because of Gragas ult and body slam. So it's kind of just building up to one big team fight, but there is no clear objective yet to fight around. Infernal Drake is going to be a couple of minutes before it's ready, and Riftel's dead 5 minutes ago, so Misfits are looking to just continue putting pressure around Alphari's lane and then see if they can actually get that last outer turret.
I really feel we're spoiled with the current speed of games, Deficio, because it's 16 minutes in. We've had a Rift Tower taken, we've had 2 Dragons taken, we've had 3 towers taken. Only had 3 kills. Yes, that's a little bit slow, but I remember the start of Spring Split where it was like 50, 60 minutes before you'd even see a couple of kills, before you'd even see a tower fall. And now we're bemoaning the fact that the game isn't quick enough at 16 minutes in. I think we should be a little bit more patient with it. Yes, we all want to see more action. Yes, we want to see those big team fights, but right now,
I'm happy.
These teams, they're just taking it slow.
I got my fair share of fast games doing a split already. I'm okay with some of the slower ones where it's more about actually moving around the correct lanes and playing the map. Not just pure fighting just yet. Misfits, as we highlighted, will play around Alphari's lane, get the last outer turret already completed. Gets a bit of damage on T2. Might be a fight here.
Alphari's going to dive in here. The Cataclysm comes down as well. Maxwell maybe a little bit overextended because Niski's on his way. 4 members of Misfits down towards the bottom side. Will just be forced off from the tower, and that's always a threat. When Niski's nearby, you have to be cautious because he will be able to nuke through Mickey. He will be able to nuke through Handsama.
I feel like this is going to be a hard game for Niski, though, to actually do more than Senkooks. He's not been able to get any sort of early fights or early skirmishes around the mid lane. He's just kind of been a farm fest. And the Orianna scaling into these team fights, it's going to be easy to execute it. Like, Zoe is such a great champion when it's 1v1, 2v2 plays happening around the map. You can utilize the long-range poke in a pure all-in 5-on-5. But Zoe can deal a lot of damage. Typically, you just end up by hitting a tank in the front. And then suddenly the shockwave is actually going to be way more impactful from Senkooks. But if you have scrappy fights, of course, very split up. Everyone is kind of all around, attacking from different angles. A great Zoe player can
But it feels like that's what Splyce want to do, because you've got the Jhin who can dodge in and out with the speed up from the Zillion. You've got the disruption from Odoamne with the explosive cast. Yes, you have this team fight, but you've got so much disruption, so much displacement from Splyce that Niski should be able to dodge around the edges, should be able to do what Nuke Duck did in the last game, and just engage when he needs to.
And Misfits, they hear what you're saying, but then they put the ball on Alphari.
Because they're not meant to.
I mean, you didn't say anything they don't know already.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say it like that. But they're going to put a ball on Alphari. He's going to EQ forward, and then they don't care about your potential displacements. If there's no flash and copy in a fight, he's going to be locked in that cage with Alphari. He's going to get shockwaved in the face. And yeah, he's going to get a Zillion ult. Most likely going to die in the way once he actually gets back to life. So Misfits are still looking for the point they can actually get a pure team fight. Splyce now got the rapid fire cannon, but one problem for them is it's not a traditional, split push comp where Copy can hold mid lane. He's actually been relegated to the side lanes pretty often. And that's not where you get the control with the Zillion pick. Because that's in mid when you can speed him up, run forward mid, hit the AD carry in the face, and you get all control of the map.
It does mean he's got the rapid fire cannon now, because he's ahead in CS, about 40 CS up over that Ezreal. So maybe they were just waiting for him to have that little bit extra range so that when he runs forward, he can be a little bit safer.
The problem is just, who else are you sending to the side lane?
It's true.
Zoe is not the kind of champion you want to just always put in a top or bot lane. And that's kind of the thing where normally when we saw Splyce run with Zillion comps, they had champions that actually wanted to split push. They can't do that properly with this comp. It's going to be about team fighting instead and see if they can catch someone with Niski's Zoe. They are grouped. Infernal might be the one where we get the fight. Otherwise, Baron is spawning soon as well. So everyone who's been waiting for the big moment, it's coming soon.
You promised it to us now. Last time you promised us something, the person didn't die.
It's going to come within the next 20 minutes, a team fight.
Thanks. Thanks to
The nuke that one didn't work, so
it didn't. You had to
buying
be
myself more time.
A little bit more cautious this time. Look at the vision control, though, from Misfits. Total ownership of this river. Control ward there, control ward. No vision at all over the halfway mark for Splyce.
And now you have to be able to fight if you're Splyce. You have 2 items on your AD carry. You have Lud and Zeko on Zoe. They already pushed mid. They're moving in towards it. Odamna coming from the bottom side. Oh, Mickey's
Love
hiding.
this from Misfits, but great pillar from Xerxes. But Elder Dragon down to about 1,000.
West engage.
Xerxes on the way in, can't quite get there. Odoamne engages only onto Alfari, and now he's caught off on the wrong side of this fight. Odo down to about a 3rd HP. He's going to be the first to fall. Splyce still trying to get the flank off, but they couldn't find the way into the fight.
But Splyce, you wanted to fight right there. You were waiting for an opening. You have 2 strong items on your AD carry. You were trying to set up a flank with Odamna, and then they end up moving in so late because they didn't feel confident without full vision in the river. Not 100% knowing exactly where Misfits could actually attack them from. They kind of hesitated with the 4-man group. Odamna then goes in. Drake dies. He's on his own, and he just goes down. Misfits showing better shot calling right there, and Splyce hesitating, afraid. Feel like they lack information because there's a control ward there and they don't have vision in the brush until the pillar actually like reveals the players. The pillar itself obviously doesn't do it.
And Comet almost steals it. It was a 1 HP.
Still, for Splyce, you had an opening to get a fight here.
Yep.
You didn't take it and you end up losing Odamna and Infernal Drake.
I agree, not good play from Splyce. Didn't even get anything off the back of it as well. No damage on that mid lane tower. They got 1 control ward up towards the Baron. That's not enough. I think got a Scuttle Crab as well, but that's going to expire pretty soon. And now Misfits have swung that gold lead. 2,000 gold ahead, 21 minutes in. Starting to see those completed items on Hans Sama. Starting to see those completed items on Senkux as well.
We get another test of the late game Misfits soon. They've actually won a couple of games where they didn't just fully snowball early and they had to still play like past 30 minutes in pure teamfighting, and it's gone pretty well for them. We have to see if they can do it again against Splyce. So far they got that Infernal Drake. They had 2k ahead. Now the next big objective is going to be Baron. That's what everyone is going to be playing around.
Maxwell was rooted up there, was able to get across the wall, but we talked about it earlier. Hans Sama on the Ezreal is something they did a lot in spring, especially in the middle when they were struggling, and he's at that 2-item point now. Previously, we've seen Misfits not be able to actually utilize that power in the Ezreal.
Well, for now, we have the same idea where both teams don't have to super easy engage rather than Alfari jumping in.
Oh, wait, you promised us a team fight in 20 minutes. That wasn't a team fight.
Within 20 minutes.
That was just a single kill. Okay, so we've got 17.5 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep track of that.
We should definitely keep track of that.
I think if we get up towards that 40-minute mark, we're probably approaching one of the longest games of the split as well.
Especially if they haven't actually had a team fight yet, a proper one. Misfits control the Baron. The way for them to start it is start the Baron itself, force the enemy team to walk into river, and then turn with Alfari plus Mickey flashing in. Ulti from a Jarvan plus ulti from Morgana. Enemy team, they are forced to like scatter and forced to jump away, and they can't deal proper damage.
Splyce do still have all of their flashes though, so that initial fight from Misfits might not be the exact engage they want. Would like them to save one of those tools. Like save the Mickey engage or save the Cataclysm for the second fight, because then Misfits can engage on these flashless targets, which is what you always want to see. And Summer teleports in here. Misfits, total control of the river once again. Splyce really have no awareness of that Baron at all. And once again, it's a 5v5 towards the mid lane.
It's a bit of an ARAM at the moment. Both teams fighting for mid lane control. Misfits should send someone up to actually push the top side and get the control there, so they have full river set up around Baron.
I mean, both waves are pushing for Splyce at the moment. You feel they could be perhaps a little bit more aggressive here in their positioning.
They're trying. They're waiting for a bubble to land from Niski. That's the main way for them to start it, other than Odamne flashing forward. But there's a black shield in from Mickey to stop that from actually doing anything. So it's still this moment where none of the teams are feeling 100% confident in how they actually want to set up the proper fight. And it feels like eventually someone is strong enough to just start the Baron, and then you're forced to fight.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about scaling, because I mean, both Orianna and Ezreal are very strong in the sort of late game, even in the mid game. But Zoe and Jhin can do a lot of damage as well. Is there a team that really has the scaling advantage here, or is it just purely about who plays those team fights better?
I value the late game Orianna in the 5-on-5 team fight more than the Zoe. Personally, also, while Jhin, if he gets to enough AD, will be absolutely insane. If Hans Sama does go double tier, there is good scaling on his side too. Some of the damage coming from Kobe, he still needs more before he can actually really burn through targets. No eye edge, obviously, on his side yet. So I think just pure all-in team fight, Misfits with Orianna Jarvan, that is a golden combo that's going to win them most of them if they land it. A little bit sloppy before with them just rushing straight mid instead of pushing their sides, and that's why they're forced back now. We're still waiting, everyone. I gave you 20 minutes. We're about, what, 14 minutes left of that?
15. We did it basically on the 20
right, okay.
when you said it. So it's very easy for you to do the maths there. Just 20 plus whatever.
We've not had a game like this in Europe for a while, where it's not non-stop action all the time.
It's just a bit more methodical from both these teams. And
It
I think,
is.
like, Splyce have always been a team that will accept the game slowing down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they always are happy with that. And Misfits have built a draft that is about the game slowing down and then just winning that late game team fight where you have 3 or 4 items on your Orianna or on your Ezreal.
And that's kind of thing, we talked about the all-in of Orianna Jarvan before. I mean, on the other side of Splyce, Trundle ult combined with the late game Jhin, like that does burn through whatever frontline Misfits can offer, because it's mainly bruisers or just squishy carries. Like Jarvan is 2 items on his side. He's going to build tank now, but that's not going to be a lot in the late game compared to what Niski and Copy can do against him. So there's definitely ways for Splyce to fight that one. That was the closest we got to an engage.
Great chunk onto Hans Sama here, already down to half HP. Odoamne coming in from the side as well, and Splyce might sense an opportunity. Alfari so tanky already on that Jarvan. Maxwell caught out with the pillar, knocked back as well. Redemption comes out, Misfits trying to find the engage, but look at Kobe and Niski on the backline. They're still alive.
Shockwave.
Open up the curtain call for Misfits as Alfari has to dodge to the back of it all. Misfits forced away from the river.
We did not get the shockwave there. I don't think Sengu was actually ready for the initial engage on Alfari. Only got the tanks at first. Infernal Drake being started. Misfits still around. Alfari will TP in.
So much better from Splyce, though, as they force the fight around the river. Infernal Drake down low. 800 gets secured. Kobe and Alfari and Kassim fighting up towards the top side. Infernal goes down. Niski can flash this wall if he needs. He's got one in his W pocket. Odoamne is still dodging around there as well. I'm not sure why Niski just didn't flash out earlier.
All right, so last time it was Misfits getting the Infernal Drake. This time it is Splyce. Senkux held on to that shockwave, and then when he actually decided to pull the trigger, he waited until the CC was gone from the target, and then he doesn't hit anything with it. Around Baron, again, they're missing key ultis. No Jarvan ult, no ult from the Orianna. They're just baiting it right now.
Yeah, Odoamne hadn't backed as well, just went down towards that bottom lane, so it's going to come up. Kasing's going to be the one to check this. Puts the control ward down. Misfits realize that their bait has not worked against Splyce.
Remember, the Trundle pillar does not reveal vision in their brush here. It was nerfed a long time ago, but what he's trying to do is just push someone out of the brush, and then you can see them if they're standing there. So it still kind of works without 100% giving the information you want. We almost had a big team fight.
No, but we didn't, Deficio.
It was a fight.
12 minutes, 20 seconds left.
We're very loose on what is the real team fight. This
But
looks
this is
like
definitely
one.
not a team.
All right, let's track the Orianna. Senkuk's right now at the top of your screen. Because normally you want to get the ball on the Jarvan, he jumps in to the backline, you get the big shockwave. But if you look at it, he gets pillared by Xerxes, so now he's not in a position to actually get the ball on the Jarvan. Oh, we're fighting.
Kobe caught out, Chrono Shift goes down on him as well. Sleep onto Alfari, goes gold and gets himself out. Once again, the team fight does not come to pass. Only 1,000 gold between these two teams. 28 minutes in, 4 kills in it. But Splyce have been racking up those dragons. Have to look at that. Double ocean and a mountain for them. They have quite a bit of extra power in their back pocket.
Mountain coming soon, but for now it's double Infernal.
Double
Traded,
Infernal.
obviously. One for each. See what happens. Still waiting in the game here. They're back to playing around Baron, because there's no Drake anymore, and none of them can actually split push for the tier 2 turrets.
Okay, while we have a moment, Deficio, I've been thinking of what you call the Cataclysm Shockwave combination.
Okay.
I think the best name is the Salad Spinner.
The salad
Because you
spinner.
you put all the people, right, all the salad, all the letters
Right.
in the Cataclysm, in the box.
Yes.
And then you spin it round.
But you're only spinning once with the shockwave. It needs to be more like something where only one punch.
Blender?
Because it's not like the shockwave keeps going.
Yeah, but what's a one-punch spin?
I don't know.
It's like a tilt-a-whirl, I guess.
Salad shotgun setup? We shoot a shotgun into the salad?
Well, no, because that's a Cataclysm into collateral damage combo.
Right, okay.
Is the salad shotgun.
So if you use a shotgun to make your food, the combo can kind of work.
If you ever use the shotgun to make your food, you've made some weird life decisions.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a chef somewhere.
I heard people laugh at salad spinner, so I'm probably going to use that.
Yeah.
One.
The only thing missing is just
The one,
the fact
the
it's
singular
only
nature
doing
of
one.
it. Yeah, it's true.
It's like a really lame, like, Beyblade. You remember them?
Yeah.
When you saw the commercials when they were spinning all the time, it was like so cool. And then when you got it,
just spin.
it like spin once and that was it. So it's like completely useless. That's basically what Orianna ult is.
It's the Beyblade Arena.
Yes.
Because you could buy them. You could buy the actual
There you
arenas of
go.
Beyblade. Yeah.
I like Silent Spin too.
Yeah,
It's
so
pretty
do
cool. All right. They're still standing around Baron. It is Misfits with the vision control. Both teams are fighting for the mid lane priority. We've kind of talked about this for 10 minutes. Let's see if there's another opening soon. Alfari, is there anyone here? Kobe without flash. He forced that last time. That has to be the target you're aiming for.
But he's in the side lane once again. They're just farming him up to the Infinity Edge. Sitting on double BF now. Probably very close to it.
Not there just yet. For himself, need a bit more gold. They're starting the Baron. Remember the can turn. It is spotted by the ward just outside. Splyce moving in, but this is okay for Misfits as long as they can get the team fight. Niski no flash. Kobe no flash. There are targets you can go for.
Pulled off the Baron though. Straight away Misfits decide they don't want to fight against Splyce in that choke point.
That was very early to pull away from it. Splyce didn't even have to commit all 5 plays. I think Kobe soon is ready. Will he get the eye edge on the recall? You almost have to think he will, otherwise he wouldn't go back to base.
And he does.
There we go. It is ready. He's going to rush back out. Misfits can start Baron again.
That ward is still there. Is Mickey going to spot it? Doesn't go up towards the top side of the pit, so hasn't spotted out the
Hesitating
ward.
though. They don't want to fully commit to it.
Understandable.
They know if they start the Baron, lose the fight after, then suddenly Splyce is in full control. The 3k goal lead almost doesn't matter at this point here with the carries sitting on equal items. Actually, I would even say Kobe is ahead now because Hansama is not backed yet on his 1,000 gold.
Teleport coming back from Mickey as well to rejoin this fight, and it's on a knife edge. Misfits trying to keep. Fnatic is the only team that have defeated them this split. Splyce trying to fight their way in towards that playoff berth. Remember, they sit in 7th. They are outside of it with only 3 weeks left of this summer split.
Oh, they're all recalling right now. If Misfits start the Baron,
They stop it straight away. Odoamne's down.
Still
towards the
that
bottom
ward
lane, has the
outside.
Teleport. The ward's still there, as you say, Deficio. 10,000 HP left on the Baron. Sankooks and Mickey trying to be the zoning tools here. Xerxes steps forward, Redemption comes out, Baron down to 5,000. Niski looking for the poke from the side, can't quite land it. Teleport coming in from Odoamne as well. Kasing and Kobe get themselves away, and Splyce could look for the fight here. The curtains open on the side of Misfits, and they are forced back towards their own jungle. Splyce unable to keep the Baron aggroed though, and it means they have burnt that teleport from Odoamne just to force Misfits away.
Splyce are playing it very well around Baron here. They're never fully committing. They're also coming in from different angles so they don't just group together against a shockwave from Sankooks. Makes it very difficult for Misfits to know where do we turn, when do we turn. And when Alfari tried to jump forward, he was too far away and he was already fairly low. Midland turret dropping, TP from Alfari behind him. Sankooks is almost out of mana, but he has a blue buff.
Sankooks on his way. Here comes Alfari. Engage.
But it's
onto
over
Kobe.
there.
No flash on the Jhin. Nicky flashes forward, but the Chrono Shift will keep Kobe alive. He's going to resurrect. Now Splyce needs to try and keep Kobe.
Shockwave.
They need to keep him alive. The Shockwave does not connect. Only hits the minions, and because of that, Splyce get out alive.
Alfari saw the big play, but his entire team was too far away to instantly join the fight. So there was so much time for Splyce to actually get the Jarvan low, get the ulti onto Kobe, and by the time he resurrected, the Shockwave came in, but he just walked out of it. Misfits have not been able to use the salad spinner, and that's a problem for them so far.
Just sounds so funny when you say it. Maxwell's going to start up the Mountain Drake here. Kobe on his way. Maxwell all by himself, so Splyce should be able to force the Misfits jungler away from this one. Spike came out very early there from Xerxes, but they will secure it, and that's their 4th dragon of the game.
And now Hansama realized, wait a minute, we actually going late game here. I need that second tier. It came in super late. Normally you want to get it after the first 2 items completed, then you get the tier when you have your first one fully stacked. It's going to be very slow in terms of him getting it towards the late game. He's only at 18 right now, because he just boarded after realizing we're going past 30 minutes. So at the moment, Kobe is going to be stronger with the Eye Edge Jhin. Remember that Halo Blades on him, buffing up, especially the movement speed. That's a key part of him, constantly moving in and out of these fights. Look how fast he is when he's just dancing around.
So
and
speedy.
He's going to get sped up by Kasing as well. Flash is available for him and Niski, making it much harder for Alfari to find them. And I feel like right now Splyce are in control. We mentioned earlier, while there's a lot of upfront damage from Misfits with the Shockwave, if they're not hitting it, then Splyce can always kill the front line, which is basically just Alfari on the side of Misfits, and win the fights.
No flash on Mickey, no flash on Alfari. Both Misfits engage tools are offline. Sankooks not without a flash himself as well, and Kobe has that summoner up. Splyce are going to try and set up vision around the Baron, and now Misfits are in the dark.
Spring split all over again right now. Misfits not able to properly get the first Baron and snowball the game, and then suddenly Splyce gets to late game, and When they do well, it's often when Copy is going to be the main damage dealer in team fights and you try and protect him. That's where we're sitting at the moment. They've not been enjoying the meta shift on the Splyce side. That is why they're outside playoff now. But if you get to play a game which is effectively like Spring Split when you're actually really good, well, suddenly you're looking strong again in the late game. Don't want to say all game long, just here in the late game.
Some damage from Kobe straight onto Maxwell, though. A third of his HP just gets chunked away. And Misfits are the ones forced back. Splyce have slowly wrestled the tempo of this game back into their favor, wrestled the positioning in this river as well. And you can see what was previously Misfits' vision is now entirely Splyce's.
Getting to the point as well where I'm starting to think this is the latest first Baron we've had all summer split long. 35 minutes in. Teams have been using it to bait, but not been getting proper fights around it. And now it is Splyce, as you said, in control for now. So Misfits will get it back because they're the ones pushing mid. We're back to the same dance, the very famous European Baron dance. It can last for days, years even. But at some point, someone will kill the objective.
The latest first Baron we have had is 38 minutes and about 20 seconds.
Almost there.
I'm afraid.
Almost
you were close,
there.
You were close. True Shot Barrage used to help that top lane push. Alfari's down towards the bottom side. No teleport on him, so Splyce have an opportunity here to maybe force a play.
Yeah, we've had 5 versus 5 setups, but we haven't had the one that opens up the game yet with multiple kills coming in.
We've only got 4 minutes for that team fight as well to fish it.
And again, team fight, we get a lot of kills, obviously, and that's what we're missing. 4 kills only in this game here. See what happens, because Splyce seem happy just constantly playing mid with Jhin and do nothing else. I'm pretty confident we get the latest Baron in this one.
That's still 2 minutes before that's going to happen. Let's have a look at where we are in terms of items, though. Double Gargoyle Stoneplate on Splyce, one for Odoamne, one for Xerxes. Xerxes also has the Knight's Vow. Expect that to be going over towards Kobe, but I haven't looked at it specifically. Void Star finished on Niski, so he'll be able to burst through some of these Misfits members.
Yeah,
only really Mercury Treads for magic resist on the side of
Not a lot of
Misfits.
tanks. Misfits for them still kind of the answer is start Baron and turn for the fight. I think they might want to wait for Alfari's flash unless there's a good opening. Because he needs it, otherwise it's almost too predictable when he runs forward. You can also just body slam him or Trundle Pillar and suddenly it gets hard for him to actually get in range.
Also, Senkox hasn't got his Rabadon's Death Cap yet, so that's a big power trough that he is sitting in. Would like to see him go back and get that. Went for the Morello Nomicon instead of finishing that Rabadon second. Just needs that little bit more for the Shockwave to be incredibly effective. We are sitting on a 3-item Ezreal, though. And what... Every time I see Hans Summer play Ezreal, I think about Spring Split and I think about
Maxlord.
Some of the weaknesses he had. Collateral damage, Maxlord gets rooted up. Odoamne with the explosive cast flash from Maxlord gets him to safety.
Yeah, Maxlord.
Still no big team fight to Fischio, 2 minutes left.
It's true, but Maxlord got very bored there. That's why he suddenly dashes forward on his own. That was actually not a great play, and he lost a crucial flash
Pillar.
here.
Niski's on the flank.
Oh, the Amne's going
for
in.
the sleep. He
Get
gets
him.
onto Maxlord. Niski jumps forward with the portal jump, gets the paddling out as well, and now Mickey has to get away. The Shockwave misses once again. Hans Summer dead. Niski gets him in the back line, and Splyce finally come online. Kasing with a perfectly timed Chroman shift will keep his mid laner alive. Senkox goes golden, but Splyce say thank you very much. Splyce find the perfect fight right on the 20-minute mark.
Splyce have been sitting in his mid lane for 20 minutes looking for this kind of opening. Maxwell was the one that went forward first. This is just Alfari on his own. He's going to go down. Splyce are now in full control. They're probably just going to finish this game. We kept waiting and waiting and waiting. We didn't even get a Baron, but I got an opening, a fight where everything was split up, and suddenly the Jhin and the Zoe as well start landing the poke, and they kill all our Misfits.
All it takes is one punch from Splyce. They take down Misfits.
Spring Split flashbacks. We just got to see Splyce play a slow game, get to late game, protect Copy as much as possible. We got to see Misfits struggle so much around the Baron itself. They could not get the fight they needed. When they were ahead, we did not get a single proper setup where the Shockwave actually connected onto multiple players. And then suddenly, you can't win the late game fights. Maxlord, greedy, bored, whatever, jumps forward. That actually sets up the whole thing for Splyce. It's a long lane. Pillar comes in, Niski from the side. He landed some insane poke in that last team fight.
He did 7,000 damage in that final team fight. Across the course of the entire game, he only did 15,000. So in that one team fight, he basically doubled his damage output for the entire match.
We had 4 kills in 38 minutes. Now, if you have not watched the last few games so far, if you have not watched the games this week, we've had a lot of fast games with a lot of kills, a lot of action happening. This one game, though, was very different from the standard meta in Europe, at least. Only had a couple of these long games, but the fact there's so few kills, Misfits struggling to get the fight they were looking for, and Splyce just waiting, being like, we're back in our element, baby.
But let's have another look back at that crazy mid lane fight, though, because this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, this is a flash being forced against Senkooks, and then first one lands for Niski. He jumps in on his own. This is where Zoe wants to be. The fight is not really properly happening. Shockwave did not hit anything. Man, Niski was fast today. It was like he was just jumping around everything.
He got time warped and chrono shifted, brought him back to life.
And Senkooks without a flash. Xerxes is like, yeah, sure, I'll just pillar you. I think he misclicked the hourglass.
Yeah, you get the feeling he did, don't you? Senkooks did not have the best of games. Hit maybe one shockwave that I recall. The rest were whiff waves.
Yeah, and
we never got to use the salad spinner, which
that was
makes
the
me
thing.
sad.
Whenever they tried to set it up, they were completely disconnected, and there was always a Zillion ulti. Splyce. Spring Split Splyce.
Is this third place Splyce is the question I want to ask you, because we've got Fnatic, we've got G2, we've got Schalke now as well.
You cannot do this every game because
I think I can.
I mean Splyce.
Oh, okay.
Like this exact setup here. But for this one game, yeah, it was actually suddenly the third place late game Splyce for a moment at least. It's the kind of win they need. You have to be able to suddenly get some wins out of nowhere, which is against the top teams. So when you can just now beat H2K, Giants, Unicorns, if you do that as Splyce, you should be sitting at a playoff spot.
Well, after our final game of the week, Kobe, Niski, and Kasing are looking to secure player of the game. I know how that vote's going to go. Head on over to Outlaw Esports on Twitter and vote for your favorite. Niski is the answer. Niski.
Kobe played really well.
Yeah, he played all right. Kasing's joining the EU LCS lobby in that post-game lobby after an interview with Niski and Kobe.
Well, thank you very much, Medic. I'm with Niski and Kobe at the moment. Congratulations to you two, but congratulations to you, Niski, because it's your birthday from what I hear. So is it good for you to win, especially against Misfits for your birthday?
I mean, thing is that this morning, when I woke up, I saw like the tweet of Hansama that kind of hit on, yeah, I'm going to win against Niski for his birthday and stuff like that. So I kind of had to give him a lesson, I guess. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good to win against them, and yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice one. Now, Kobe, you're used to go 1-1 every week, except like last week. So how did you prepare for this one, especially since it's Misfits around the early game? Did you have something in mind to overcome them today?
Yeah, so yesterday's game didn't look so good against G2, but usually how it goes is that we look really, really bad, and then everyone underestimates us pretty much, and then we just have a good game. So I think it's just our own consistency, which is not the best. So one game we're really insane, and the other game we're kind of bad.
Yeah, but even though you seem to struggle often during the early game, can you explain why?
Things that I'm not sure, because, for example, yesterday, it was kind of tough early game, and there was like no comeback possible, for example. I mean, I just think that we can lose against any team, and we can also win against any team. And I think we just need to be consistent, as Kobe said, and once we're consistent, I think we will be a top team, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. About this consistency, you only have 4 weeks remaining, 3 weeks now. You don't have especially a tough schedule ahead of you guys, but how do you plan to keep on going with this consistency?
I mean, I think we just have to give our best, because I know, like, when we play lower teams, we don't struggle, but like, we don't try it as much as, for example, today against Misfits. And I think if we try out as much as we did against Misfits today, it should be, I won't say easy wins in the next weeks, but it should be really fine for us, I would say.
And we've seen the meta changing for a bit, especially with the latest patch. Now, Kobe, how do you feel about this one? We saw you popping off really hard on Jhin today.
Yeah, I'm just happy I can get to play Jhin, which is like my comfort champion. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of mages and boosters and stuff. But in the end, I think most of my games in LCS are AD carries still, so it feels kind of the same. But overall, I'm like kind of happy with the patch.
What do you feel about your his performance today?
I mean, he's
because I heard Diffusion flaming him for a bit, so...
No, I mean the Junos were good, so... I mean, he died
Thanks,
once
man.
in lane. I mean, that's we don't talk about that.
Oh, cute. Well, guys, congratulations once again and happy birthday once again.
Thank you.
Now, to wrap up the week, we're going to send it over to Shocks for PGL. Take it away.